Welcome in, good people, to the Daily Fix. We appreciate you joining us as you do every day at this time, noon Central Standard Time. Right there in that little box, that is young Steven Serta. When I say young, he's getting younger by the day. It's like a reverse thing. He's got a Benjamin Button thing going right now as he's getting younger by the day. I think he's 27 now as we speak. But that's Steve in the little box. And this is the Daily Fix presented by Foolish Club Media. We appreciate you however you're taking us in. If you are listening to us on Twitter or the X, I just refuse to call it that. But if you're listening to us on Twitter, we appreciate you listening to us. And tell many others. If you are listening to us on YouTube, we appreciate you doing that as well. First thing I need you to do is head to our YouTube channel, Foolish Club Media. Please like and subscribe. Steve, have we hit that milestone yet? We gotta be getting close.
No, but we are getting closer. We are at 434 subscribers. It was a little quieter over the weekend too, because Chiefs were on a bye. So we'll give you guys a pass for that.
And many of you were watching porn, so we appreciate that as well. And hopefully you enjoyed whatever it was you were watching. But please head to Foolish Club Media, like and subscribe. If you do not do so, remember you're preventing my 3 children from eating. Not going to hold you long. Want to hit a couple of things. One, I don't really like to call for people's jobs, but I mean, this naturally seems like the right thing to do. Also, something that gets me aroused football-wise. I'll just leave it at that. We'll hit that in a bit. But I want to start here, Steve. And I talked about yesterday thinking that Patrick Mahomes is we're about to see him turn into the Patrick Mahomes we're accustomed to. And a lot of that has to do with the run game. And a lot of that has to do with Steve, I thought of all of the injuries to Hollywood Brown, obviously Rashee Rice, and then Pacheco. I thought the Rashee Rice one was at the top, but I thought Pacheco was one that they were really going to potentially miss. And I'm telling you, listen, we tried to give it with the great white hope. That wasn't it. I didn't feel comfortable with him just taking over by himself. And then, Pete Ryan's more of a third down back. I didn't feel comfortable with that. And I thought, man, they did as well as they could against Atlanta when there was those two, with the exception of turning the ball over. But with the addition of Kareem Hunt, Steve, this joker looks like the Kareem Hunt that was on the field before he got kicked off the team. This Kareem, that is not the dude that was in Cleveland. I mean, he had 27 carries, and it didn't look like he was wearing down. He had 27 for 102, and he is running hard. Shamari Connor almost needs to think about giving up his number so he can have his own number, really turn the clock back. It looked like that cat against the Patriots. You remember that first time we saw him against the Patriots, and he went off with Alex Smith, and he was running, and he was catching balls for touchdowns? I'm not surprised. I am downright shocked how effective that Kareem Hunt has been the last 2 weeks. I thought he was going to be like Carson Steele, just a little bit better. But I've heard Rocky say this, and I thought Rocky was insane when he first said it. I still think he's nuts, just not insane, when he said he thinks that Kareem Hunt might be a better running back right now than Isaiah Pacheco. I don't think it's as insane as I thought it was when he first said it, because that Saints defense that he went up against, they're not horrible. And you could see his vision and everything. He looked like the Kareem Hunt of old, not the dude that was in Cleveland.
Yeah, and he mentioned when he came to Kansas City that he played through some injuries last season, so maybe that was stuff that was kind of slowing him up. But I also think the Chiefs' offense is just better for a better fit for Kareem Hunt, because Kevin Stefanski's a good play caller in Cleveland, but Kareem Hunt is a really versatile player who can be a 3-down running back, and he looks way more explosive than I thought he had left in him. I did not think that he could do this on a weekly basis. And we'll see if he can hold up for the rest of the season because he is an older player for running backs, at least at this point in his career. But he looks good. And I still think that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the lead guy, but Isaiah Pacheco can be a frustrating player, as Rocky's mentioned multiple times, because Pacheco doesn't have very good vision. Like he just runs full steam ahead and hope he breaks through and gets to the other side. Whereas like Kareem Hunt, you can see the patience in his running style as he's looking for the gaps and trying to get into open space. Whereas Isaiah Pacheco is just like head down and try to mow people over and get out into the open field.
But when you get these two together, Steve, like, that is a load to have to deal with. And the Chiefs are going to run the football more than they unless they're going to make a move here soon, which I think they will at the wide receiver position. But you can see it. They're going to run the football more. And I don't care what you say about the vision of Pacheco and whatever. These two dudes, they run the ball in the same physical fashion. And the third and fourth quarter, like, there is no rest. There is no, oh, all right, Jerick McKinnon's coming in. It's a little lighter. Nah, man, that joker comes out who's trying to run through you, coming back in with another one who's trying to run through you. So they have become really physical when they both get those guys back. And I think both of them share injury issues. So if Kareem can make it to when Isaiah Pacheco gets back, like, you help both of them because they struggle sometimes staying healthy. That's probably the worst thing because of how hard they run and how physical they are. Like, this will help both of them so they don't have to carry the load. Their running back position with this resurgence of Kareem Hunt has just changed the game. All right. Last night the Jets lost, and Aaron Rodgers had a couple of bad plays, including a pick to really end the game. I don't know why. I know sometimes I have been accused of being a hater. A couple of haters. I've been accused of becoming a hater sometimes. I wouldn't say a hater. I just say I just have these certain thoughts. I will admit there is a haterness quality to this. Steve, I am aroused.
Full image.
Full image. That does it for me. That I am aroused by the deficiencies and downfalls and failures of Aaron Rodgers. I am just not a fan. And it has really changed. Like, this right here is doing it for me. Like, all the way. Like it is adding a level of chipperness to my day right now that I didn't even know I had. But Steve, I'm serious. And it's not been always. I've been a fan of the talent of what he could do, but the last several years, he's an awful teammate. He's one of the worst leaders when it comes to great players, like worst guys to follow around when it comes to great players. And yes, I know the Jets have added, looks like, has that been official? I know they were working on something with the Raiders to make a trade, but when it's reported like this, it's going to potentially happen.
The Jets sent a third round the Jets sent a third round pick to the Raiders, but it can become a second round pick based off of performance for Davante Adams.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'm not as the Chiefs are a contender, or if I'm any AFC contender, I'm not nervous about this at all because I think those are two guys whose talents aren't as good as what we remember them being together, including Davante Adams. He's dropped off. And Aaron Rodgers is no Tom Brady and no Peyton Manning. He is not going to lift his teammates. He's an awful teammate. I don't think they respect him, and I don't think they really want to follow him. And I think none of them want to hang out with him outside of the thing. So I have no fear of the Jets, even though they've gotten better on the field and added Davante Adams. They will find a way to screw it up because they have a leader who is selfish and does whatever the hell he wants to do. I am not an Aaron Rodgers fan, and I enjoyed him losing last night. And I'm turned on by it. I'm just telling
you. He does whatever he wants to do. And just last week, he was saying he had no influence over Robert Saleh getting fired, and he had no influence over them trying to acquire Davante Adams. And it's like, obviously he has influence over all that stuff. Obviously the Jets are making decisions based off of what he wants. And yeah, you can add Devontae Adams, who hasn't been good this year, even though he's in a bad passing offense. Like, if you look at all of the wide receiver metrics, like Devontae Adams hasn't been good when he's been on the field this year. Garrett Wilson has been pretty good, despite the fact that the Jets have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and that's not changing anytime soon. Like, they cannot protect guys up front. So I don't think this move actually changes things all that much for the Jets.
Yeah, they're better, but Aaron's not as good. Aaron's
Yeah.
not as good as the guy that won MVP several years ago in Green Bay. He's not. Like, those are balls that should have been completed last night for them to help win that game. Now, Greg Zuerlein could have made a couple field goals. Shout out to Missouri Western, but come on, I'm fine with it. All right. Listen, I don't like to call for people's jobs, Steve, but it's time. It's time for the Eagles to fire Nick Sirianni, and I mean right now. Like, I know there are people who are like, what do you gain? And like, they need a change right now. Vic Fangio or whoever that what's old dudes, Kellen Moore, like, those are the coordinators. This idiot went and shaved his head before the game for some reason, like he's in some sort of a midlife crisis, except he's in his 30s, and shaved his head. And then after they barely crawled to beat a team who came into the game, their offense was over their last 25. Actually, Deshaun Watson was over his last 25 on third downs. You barely beat a sorry Cleveland Browns team. And then you take your headset off when the game is in hand, the 20-16 game is in hand, and you walk back and you start talking trash back and forth to your fan base. You're an idiot. And it is not just that he is an idiot because he's going back and forth with his fan base. He doesn't do anything from a coaching perspective that helps his team. He doesn't call any plays on offense or defense and hasn't for a while. And clearly, he doesn't have the tenor or the respect for his team, right? Like he said in the press conference, Serta, hey, the guys told me they want me to go back to being me, having that energy. Is that what they did? Is that what Jalen Hurts said? You think Jalen Hurts said? Jalen doesn't like you. I'm going to tell you right now. You think Jalen Hurts said, hey, man, we need you to go back there and start being a jackass again? No, nobody wants this. You're clueless, and it's ridiculous. The amount of talent they have on that team, and the number one thing you can see is they don't come out ready. They don't believe in their leader. They have got to make a move. It is insane that, and it's crazy. They're 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. And I thought, Serta, I had it all wrong. Remember when his opening press conference, he started talking about some sort of a flower or something, and it was just like, how the hell did that guy pass through the interview? But I was like, all right, man, they've been pretty good. But he is running this team into the ground. Like, I think right now they have to make a move.
It's pretty insane that when the Eagles won a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson and then it totally fell apart right after that, it was clear that they just had a set of circumstances that perfectly aligned for them to go on a Super Bowl run and be a dominant team. And then it just totally fell apart. And then a few years later, we're in the same situation where this team perfectly aligned to go to a Super Bowl. They lose that Super Bowl, but then a couple years removed, they're totally falling apart again. And it's like Nick Sirianni, like they made that Super Bowl despite Nick Sirianni, not because of him as a head coach. They just happen to have a really good coaching staff with really talented players with a really great offensive line. And it's just not quite the same anymore. And Shane Steichen is a really, really good play caller who had a bigger impact on that team than anybody realizes. And they have not been the same since Shane Steichen left to go to Indianapolis. And Nick Sirianni, the last 2 seasons, just seems like he's in way over his head.
He's a boob. He's an uncovered boob. And now he's a boob that is used Nair to shave off any of the excess hair that's on his boob. Like, he's awful. I'll be honest, I got an apology to Jonathan Gannon. I thought he was a joke over there. Clearly he wasn't. They great assistant coaches. And this is the worst coach of the bunch, and you've let him go. He's still the worst coach of the bunch. Like, hey, man, let him ride, man. Let him ride. Hi, Mom and Courtney.